Investing in camera gear is an important and essential topic to talk about and a note to understand. And honestly, a lot of these videos on YouTube don't really explain how you should be investing in your filmmaking equipment, especially if you want to make this a full-time career. For this video, we're going to talk about how you should be investing in filmmaking gear, what items it is that you should be investing in your filmmaking career, and how you can make a profit in all of this that you just invested in. Let's talk about it. So the first thing you really need to ask yourself is your camera going to be your main source of income? And I'm talking about equipment rates. Let me explain. You need to divide your investments into two different categories: money making and money losing. Are you going to be making money off the items that you are purchasing, or are you going to be losing money from it? So an example would be my Sony FX6. That camera cost me $6,000. Now, whenever a client books me and they ask for my day rate, I also like to include my kit fee in the day rate. So let's just say that I charge $150 for my kit fee. Over time, as I keep getting booked by clients, I'm essentially going to make the money back that I just spent on the FX6. So in a way, I'm gonna pay myself off, and the FX6 will essentially just be a free camera that I got, especially since this is my main camera that I take on all my projects. Now, if I decide to sell this camera in the next 5 years, it's going to have dropped significantly in price. But by the time that even happens, I'm already going to have made a massive profit off renting this camera out to myself for my client shoots. So now at that point, this investment in the FX6 has just now turned into a money-making investment. I'm not losing money off of this. Unless, of course, I just don't get any clients and I don't ever do anything with this camera, then it would be a money losing investment. As you grow as a filmmaker, you're going to start to see and understand that every client is going to ask for a different piece of gear, especially when you start getting booked more often. Some you may have, some you won't. And that's exactly why it's very important that you invest your money into gear that you know you're going to make money off of, or gear that's essentially going to make your life easier and you're going to use it every single day, no matter what you film. Money making investments doesn't always have to be you make money off this item. It can just be gear that just makes your life easier that you use every single day. I also count that as a money making investment, because essentially it just makes your life easier. Even though you're technically not making money off of it, it's still making your life easier when you're on client shoots. Now, I want to talk about how can you know what gear to invest in. I want to give you a couple tips and a couple gear that I personally invested my money into that paid itself off in the long term. The first smart investment that you should obviously have and invest is lenses. Now, lenses over time, they do lose their value, but the reason why I say lenses are a great investment is because no matter what lens you buy, if you ever plan on upgrading your camera, depending on the lens that you bought is most likely going to be compatible with the upgraded camera that you bought. If you buy a Sony full frame lens, no matter what Sony camera you shoot on, if you sell it and buy a cinema line Sony camera, you're going to still be able to use that lens. Same with PL mount cinema lenses. If you get a PL mount and you have a Sony FX6, you're shooting on that, and then later you decide you want to switch to a Red Komodo, it's fine. You can still use that lens because you got a universal PL mount. But also, lenses could be a bad investment if you're somebody who watches YouTube videos all day and sees all these YouTube gear reviews and you just go buy it because someone told you this is the new updated Sony G Master 16-35 Mark II. It's smaller and lighter, so therefore you should spend $2,000 or whatever it costs just because it's smaller and lighter. You don't always need to do that. If the Mark I gets the job done and it works fine, you shouldn't really kill yourself or go into debt trying to upgrade to a Mark II. It just doesn't make any sense. But again, everyone's situations and needs are different. So in your situation, if it does make sense and you do have the money for it, then by all means, go ahead and upgrade to a Mark II. Another really smart investment is going to have to be lighting. This is an investment that a lot of beginners cheap out on or even sometimes neglect. Me personally, because I do a lot of events and corporate interview style work, lighting is pretty much essential for my kit. Now, for me starting out, I really wish I didn't cheap out on certain lights. I really wish that I would have just went and bought the more expensive lights, because if you're going to pay $1,200 for a lens, you should also invest $1,200 into a strong, powerful key light. At the end of the day, as a filmmaker, whether you do commercials, corporate work, documentaries, when have you not got asked for a job that didn't require some source of light? Number three is going to be time, and I think this is a very important one. It doesn't matter if you have the fanciest of fancy gears, it doesn't matter if you have an arsenal full of gear. If you don't make the time to get out there and use this equipment, it's just going to be sitting on a shelf and it's going to become a bad investment because you're getting no use out of it. It's not generating you any income and it's not even helping you grow as a filmmaker because you're not using it. Time is vitally important, and as a filmmaker you got to make sure that you utilize your time wisely and get out there and use your gear and create something. Don't let it sit on a shelf just because you made a bad purchase by watching a YouTube video. Now, I'm not making this video to tell you where you should be investing your money into. I'm just suggesting ideas on how to better make smart investments because let's face it, as a filmmaker, there is a lot of gear out there, and gear is exciting. Gear is fun. Gear makes your life easier. And essentially, if I could afford all of it, I probably would buy all of it. But do I need all of it? I really don't. And I think falling into that trap and making bad investments is only going to hurt yourself in the long term, especially if you're just starting out. Make good investments, buy gear that you know is going to make you money back in the long term, or buy gear that's going to make your life easier and you know you're going to use it every single day. What that's it for today's video. I hope that I can pick your brain a little to help you make that deciding factor if you're looking at purchasing a piece of equipment, just giving you the heads up on what you should be considering whenever you purchase any equipment. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. I'll be on to Banjoni.